So there's a couple things with this etude. You really want to make sure that you choose a tempo that allows you to be light and clear without being too heavy or panicked. Take the time to write in all your accidentals and breath marks. And in addition, we're going to talk about a few traps that you want to avoid, just starting with this opening measure. Choose a tempo again that isn't too rushed, but also not too slow where it starts to sound heavy. You always want to have motion and stay light. And the tempo marking scherzando actually means to play in a playful manner. So use that to set a target tempo. It says 108, but that playfulness can be created with many, many different tempos as long as that lightness is there. Make sure that when you practice this, you practice really, really slow to make sure all your partials are there. You don't want to go by fast and accidentally miss any partials. So really take the time to practice extremely slow and make sure that your tuner can tell you you're playing the right note and you can start to hear and feel what that right note starts to feel like. Now, about the music, two things that are established with these first two measures. One, make sure that you're not clipping your quarter notes too short. You notice that on a lot of quarter notes in this highlighted slash annotated version, I put a tenuto because you really don't want to accidentally stab or cut off or just make it short overall. It's not notated in the music, so it's safe to assume that it's going to be held out for a little bit of a longer duration. The second thing I like to bring up is that the dotted eighth and 16th note rhythm in measure 2, 4, and 11. It's a rhythm that comes up pretty often, and you want to make sure that you really play it correctly. It's so easy to play it relaxed and make it sound like a triplet figure, like da, 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 da. You want to avoid that. That's the incorrect rhythm. Make sure that 16th note is closer to the third note. So it sounds a little bit more sharper like this. Da, 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 da. It's too fast toss. Just have that in mind. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and look at the next few measures. A good idea to contrast the first two measures and have a little bit more musical expression is to play around with the dynamics. What I did is I made measures 3 and 4 piano to contrast the opening mezzo forte tempo, and then measures 5, 6, and 7 and A, I did a few hairpins. It doesn't matter what you do, just as long as you do something and that you play it with clarity and you play your rhythms correctly. Measures 4, there's that dotted A 16th note figure again, and a note about all your eighth notes. The main thing you want to strive for is a nice, sharp, but not too sharp staccato. Make sure you practice your 16th notes really slow and make sure all 3 notes, or 4 notes in some cases, are there. There's no point in going fast if you're going to gloss over a few notes. Play these scale figures slow enough and make sure that you're not glossing over any notes. And even when you get to the higher tempo, you're pushing your air so that way all the notes come out. Once you do that, I have 2 recommendations. Firstly, make sure you're playing the proper slurs that are indicated. It's 2 notes under a slur followed by 4 notes under a slur. So what I actually did is I accented just a little bit that third F in measure 9 and that third E in measure 10. That makes it really clear that you're understanding what's written. The second thing I would recommend is to try and shape these in some sort of way. Measure 9 and 10 are their own individual ideas. So you can either crescendo them or diminuendo them. It doesn't matter. As long as you do something and you're in tempo and you're staying clear. Be sure to take the time in your practice to make sure that you end, especially this etude, strong. Measure 11 has your dotted eighth to a 16th note figure, which again you should play just as sharp as you have been before. And be sure not to rush this ending. You want to end strong, and you have full permission to even slow down just a tad to make sure that those last two E's are well pronounced. Be sure not to hit those notes too hard, and definitely make sure not to rush through them or play them too long as well. Just simply practice with accuracy in mind and really focus on what it takes, both with your air and with your lips, to play that E to E. I recommend playing the lower E a little bit louder and using that as a trampoline to play that second E just a little bit softer, but still just as focused.